Hello, here we are again. Michael Ware with IFC's Warrior Wednesday. We have John Bohannon with us. Everybody knows John, right? I don't know if they do, but they're going to shortly. So if I said everybody knows John from Nine Line, everybody's eyes get bigger and they start to understand because I mentioned it just before we popped on here, so we got to mention it again. John, you can't swing a dead cat in my house without hitting somebody wearing a Nine Line T-shirt. So it's on their arm, man. They're wearing it, and
love it.
Okay, so my daughter's 16. She's in a shooting club now. She's really enjoying this. She's exploring it. My son doesn't know what's going on. He's much younger, but he grabs Sissy's hand-me-downs and wears them. My wife wears this stuff. So walk us through who you are first, a little bit about you, and let's take a deep dive into Nine Line because people see it, but I don't think they understand it. And I'd like for them to. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you having us on, man. We love to be a part of, especially an organization like our Iowa Firearms Coalition. It's awesome. We all know that, without the Second Amendment, we don't get any of the others, right? It's the big differentiator for us. And, it's one of the things too, I don't think people realize about, like the work that y'all do, it affects our foreign policy too. There's a reason people don't want to invade the United States, especially, places like Iowa and Southeast Georgia where I am. We're not calling the National Guard, we're calling FEMA to clean up. So, it's an important work. So, at Nine Line, we're patriotic Americans. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're blue or you're red or, what side of the aisle you lean on. At the end of the day, we all get to enjoy these freedoms, given to us by our Creator and established in the Constitution. So it's something that Tyler Merritt, our founder and CEO, built our brand around. The Nine Line itself is it's a call to action to rescue soldiers on the battlefield, and that's the whole ethos of our company here at home. We provide jobs. We sell obviously patriotic apparel that helps people say what they believe, wear their message, wear their mission. And it's important. And then beyond that, we're a massive give back organization. We work with tons of nonprofits all over the United States. We partner with other brands like Black Rifle Coffee that you got up there on the screen. And, we've managed to build a bit of a coalition ourselves of some phenomenal nonprofits that support veterans, that support even breast cancer, research. In the months of October, we always do a big breast cancer shirt and raise money for them. So we've managed to leverage our brand awareness and the awesome customer base that we have that's dedicated to the mission like we are, to be able to support lots of groups and organizations. And then beyond that, we actually support the Nine Line Foundation. That I think that's one of the aspects of our company that a lot of people don't really realize is the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the shorts and joggers and all that stuff. Those are the tools in our shed that enable us to support this mission here at home and to build tiny homes for homeless veterans. We have 2 communities, one in Savannah, one down in Brunswick, where homeless veterans can get plugged into a community. They can get some training, have a nice place to live, and get back on their feet. And who's more deserving than that, right? Those are the men and women who gave us the ability to defend these freedoms that so often come under attack. I think every generation since the United States began has had to protect our rights, and it's a fight that will never end, because there's always going to be people who don't like freedom. They don't like people having their own agency. They don't like trusting individuals to make good decisions. And I think gun ownership is one of those low-hanging fruits that it's easy to group everybody as an irresponsible gun owner, but at the end of the day, it's just not the truth. And in fact, having responsible gun ownership in the United States is the very thing that gives us the ability to even do a podcast like this, right? Yes. What other nation in the world could we sit here under the banner of the American flag and speak freely about our values and our missions? But yeah, so Nine Line, we started about 13 years ago in Tyler's garage, just printing shirts for military units, and took this little drop line here and put it on a web store and raised some money. And he was able to outfit a close friend of his home who needed some wheelchair accessibility, things like that. He'd come back from war, and there were some things he needed that the VA wasn't necessarily going to cover for him. So we stepped into that gap and helped him out. And man, the joy and the privilege to be able to serve that way, it's unrivaled. To be able to show up to work. I sell t-shirts, hats, and hoodies. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like crazy sexy about that, right? It's the broader reason behind it. And I think that's why, people connect with us. Obviously, they see the graphics on our shirts. Yeah. They see the fun patriotic designs, the different categories that we offer. We've got a little bit of something for everybody. But more than that, when they understand why we do what we do, that's when people can really see Nine Line Apparel for what it is. And me personally, I've been in sales my whole life. I was a financial planner for years. I've worked in so many different industries, and just making friends with people, communicating, solving problems, coming up with creative solutions to be able to drive sales for different companies. And when the opportunity popped up at Nine Line, I jumped at it just because of my personal values as an American, my appreciation for those who served that gave me the freedoms to do this, the opportunity to sell a product that actually supported that mission was huge for me. And thankfully, Tyler trusted me enough to let me come over here and take the reins on the wholesaling program. So, my scope at Nine Line, I'm over all the relationships with all of our retailers and dealers, big box, small box, hardware stores, ranch and home stores, all that stuff. And then the custom side as well, where we work with lots of firearm manufacturers of all kinds of different products around the 2A community. That's really our sweet spot. But then we, branch out to knife manufacturers, and there's other industries out there that are just ran by patriotic Americans that, they don't even touch necessarily, Second Amendment style products, but they love what we do, and they want us to create apparel lines for them. So we're fortunate enough to be one of those few brands that has successfully operated a lifestyle apparel brand, right? We've seen what it takes to bring that to life, and it's not a light lift to build a brand that reflects a lifestyle with quality products that people want to own. So what we've learned with demographics and the data that we use, we're able to translate that to other brands and help them bring that to life, like, Black Rifle Coffee Company and Savannah Bananas, even, the baseball team down here in Savannah that, they're blowing up and going wild.
Nobody knew what a Savannah banana was not very long ago. Again,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's swinging dead cat again, but you don't have to look very far to see it. And people are like, then what is this Savannah banana? Yeah. So that's tremendous. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun, man. They're great folks to work with, and all the fun you see on the field, they bring it home too. So the coolest thing about that is, because of our values and our ethics, I get to work with some of the best people on earth, man. Get to talk to people like you, Michael, and get to meet CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and you realize there are some phenomenal Americans out there who are captains of industry that still value this flag and what it stands for, right? So it's been a fun ride, and now more than ever, we're seeing people unashamed of the flag, right? Proud of the United States, proud of the fact that we still make things here.
Yeah.
We've got a warehouse down here, 100 feet that way. There's a couple hundred people just tirelessly putting together these designs on garments, putting the UPCs and the hang tags on, folding them, drying them, and doing it all with the highest quality standards in the industry. It's no small feat, right? But it's phenomenal to see that, people are still willing to patronize an American company when you can go to, Shein, and you can go to Temu and all these places, and you can buy a shirt for $5. There's a child somewhere in Xinjiang, China, that had to suffer for that. Yeah. But you're so disconnected from it and so far from it that the buying decision, that doesn't even factor in, right? Oh. But to see a company like ours grow so phenomenally, because we have so many dedicated customers who look to buy from us specifically because of our values, because of what we do here in America. And then seeing big brands that are willing to bring our shirts and hats and hoodies into their stores, and they do phenomenally with it. And they find that, hey, we're actually attracting new demographics to our store because we brought in Nine Line Apparel. Yep. It's so cool to see our customers respond to that. And, it's not something that we can do in a vacuum, right? It takes a lot of awareness, fighting the same way you do, right? Just putting out education so people understand, what it means to have this freedom, right? The responsibility that comes along with it, and to have that responsibility reflected in the work you do. That's just another big commitment that you have to make as an individual, to decide, like, I'm going to do things ethically. I'm going to do things the right way. I'm going to do things in a way that when people look at this flag and they look at our product, they understand that it's the same.
Yep. Well, you're describing, there are people out there listening right now that are saying, I need to go start a t-shirt company. This sounds too easy. And I'm glad that there was an initial goal, and it was for something that maybe you and I would call virtuous, and that it had success. And then, you immediately got traction and said, this is worth repeating. I think that there's something here. And then everybody's willing to support you, because you don't have to go very far, as I said, to see Nine Line Apparel. I walk in my church on Sunday morning, no joke, and there are men and women wearing things that say Nine Line on their sleeves. And what I don't think they understand is just how important that is, that they're choosing to buy that. They're choosing to buy American, made by Americans in America, shipped by Americans, the whole 9 yards, rather than something else. Because you're right. You can get on Etsy and get a $7 t-shirt shipped from wherever it's coming from, in Korea or China, wherever. You can do that. But you could spend more and do this and do it well. And John, I find myself a little envious of you in one regard, because you work among people that are doing something that they really love, that is really valuable, because you don't always get the opportunity in life, or either that or you don't always choose the opportunity in life to work someplace like that. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to put food on the table and make it work. I remember, can we do a side story? Is that okay?
Go for it, man.
Right. So I was at a graduation shindig. This has been a number of years ago. And everybody's going around the room telling this young miss who was 18, just graduated high school, oh, you've got to find and do something you love. You got to do something you love. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, pass. So they went around the room and everybody's telling them what they should do, whatever else. And I'm like, listen, skip me. So the dad yeah. The dad was like, I want to hear what you have to say. And I'm like, I don't think you do. And he's like, yeah, I do. So I said, okay, fine. I said, I don't think that doing something that you love comes by as often as you think. So you may have to do something that you can tolerate in order to put food on the table, be a good spouse, be a good parent, go to church, be a good community member, all these things. And so when you get the opportunity, or you choose the path, however many times the pony bucks you off, you got to get back on, to where you can do the kind of things that you're talking about. You got such a happiness, and you're so fulfilled with what you do. That's tremendous. I'm super glad for you and the people that you work among. Thank you for that. And I'm glad
to your point. Yeah, to your point, to get to a point like this where I could kind of, choose my own adventure. I worked for 20 years. I sold knives. I sold financial products, and oh boy, let me tell you about the joy in that, right? Yeah. Sold home care, which was meaningful, but at the end of the day, was I passionate about it? No, I've got 3 kids. I've got a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 10-year-old, And, you know, really those conversations I start very early with my kids. So we did homeschooling for the first, first kid. You know, we started homeschooling and never really looked back. He's going to high school now. It was his choice because he wants to do this dual enrollment with the college there. And, you know, for him, it's pretty easy at this point. But that was one thing we were fortunate enough to be able to instill in them is like, hey, you've got to work hard early. Prices go up a lot. And what I've told all my kids is there's really two things you've got to do to differentiate yourself. Do exactly what you said you're going to do when you said you're going to do it. If you do those two things, you will differentiate yourself and you'll be in the top 2% of employees in the United States, right?
Yeah.
But it does, man. Sometimes you have to take the job and the opportunity that's in front of you to put food on the table. And it takes courage and strength to be able to do that. You know, I was fortunate enough to, you know, grow up with my father and mother in the home. And, you know, I saw my dad get up I didn't see him get up because he got it before I did, but he was going to work every day before I got home, and he'd come home and he'd work on cars for other people to make ends meet. And I got a firsthand experience of what it looked like to be a man, you know. Yeah. Never complained. You know, my mom would complain for him, right? Like, he's worked 100 hours this week, like, take it easy, you know? And he'd still go out there and throw the baseball with me and all that. So I was so blessed to be able to grow up in that environment. And, you know, that's one thing I try to instill in my kids. So like my oldest son, he's got a little landscaping job and he pressure washes trash cans every week. And he's 16 now. And then my daughter has a dog walking business that she does. And then my youngest son, Jack, sells these little popsicles. He gets a bunch of oranges, juices them up. It's the best popsicle you ever ate, but it's like Jack's Juice Pops. We go to the local farmer's market on Saturdays sometimes, or we'll put up a little like lemonade style stand and he'll sell popsicles to people, right? Yep. It's just instilling that in them that nobody's going to give you anything in this world. And there's a lot of people who dream of a scenario where people give you things, right? But it's the same kind of lesson I teach them about our faith and our faith in God and in relationships. Like, the easy things are not worth having in life. The things that you're going to value the most when you're, you know, well into your 70s and 80s are going to be those things that took the most effort, the most concentration. Those are going to be the things that you value the most. Those are going to be the things that you can't put a price tag on. And how you spend each day is up to you. And if you want to do something that you love and you have a passion behind it, start it early. Get after it fast while you're living at your parents' house and you don't have bills, you know, experiment then, right? Because when you get out into the real world and you got to stand 10 toes down on your own 2 feet, it gets challenging, you know, and I've been there. You know, I worked all the way through college to support myself, and, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, you know, and thankfully, you know, I didn't have anything given to me. I've always had to show up and work, and you know, didn't always do a good job.
Oh, that's part of it. You're describing, I mean, who was it? Was it JFK that said, I'll butcher the quote, but I understand the premise. We do these things because they're hard, not because they're easy. Well, that's right. That's a biblical precept. I mean, that you'll find that Old Testament, New Testament, but the one that comes to mind, I was talking with a gentleman about, so brother I work with alongside rather, and that was thinking earlier today maybe, and I think that's the narrow gates, or that's a good example. You know, it's hard to do some of those things, but that's the rewarding part. And you know, I have these conversations with my kids. It sounds like you probably do too. Listen, I realize that this is tough, and I understand that you're not having a tremendous amount of fun with this at the moment, but this is the right thing to do, and you know it. You know that this is the right thing to do. So buck up, pull your big boy pants on, and get out there and get this finished, because squawking about it's just making it worse. Just go do it and get through it, and then we'll move on to the next thing. And there's satisfaction associated with having bested whatever challenge that may be, whether it's glamorous or not. You said your oldest kid's washing out trash cans. I mean, did I hear that right?
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds
He's pressure
horrific.
washing and scrubbing them out. Oh, it's gross, man.
Oh,
It's rough. It's
I've
real
seen
rough.
our trash cans, man. That's a job I
Yeah,
don't want.
I've had to hose him off in the yard before he came in the house from it. Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully he's
Yep.
making more than a nickel an hour or something ridiculous.
Dude, he's making a whole heck of a lot more than I did when I was his age. That's for sure. He's crushing it, man. He does a good job. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard work. But I think having him do those things and still keeping up with the schoolwork, and it keeps him busy. One, which is, I mean, if you got a 16-year-old in your house, get them busy.
Yeah.
If they're locked away in a room with a bunch of devices, no good is coming from that.
I agree.
It's just not gonna work out well for them or you, and certainly not for their future, because that's the time when they're learning their work ethic. Their brain is forming those fight and flight reactions, the hormones and all the things that are released, and the reward system that processes in their brains. If they're only getting positive rewards from watching 3-second reels over and over again, it's going to be very difficult for them to build something with their hands one day. The reward doesn't come that fast. Sometimes it takes working on something for months and years to ever see the fruit from your labor. And if everything is instant gratification, that's the challenge. And that's one thing I tell them too, is this day and age, the temptation is really laziness. It's what's the old adage? Soft times, or soft men make soft times. Hard men make, or no.
Yeah.
Hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times. Soft times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. Right. Yeah. It's that cycle. Right. And we're in very soft times, man. It's very easy to live. We have lots of air conditioning everywhere. We have nice clothes, plenty of bread, right? And if you read your Bible, you know that there's some risks involved in having all of that stuff. Yeah. And the temptations for your heart and what you find joy in. Now more than ever, it's so important for us to teach our kids and to back up ourselves and admit when we're wrong. Like, hey, I thought I had this thing figured out. I was way off. Let's get out here and pick up these sticks in the yard. Got to keep them working.
There's a former mentor of mine. He's passed on now. Super gentleman. His name was Jan Michelson. He was a radio show host forever. Just a genuinely nice guy. Super Christian. I really enjoyed him. I love him a lot. He was famous for saying on the air, and anybody that he spoke with, that we've won the birth lottery by being born where and when we are. Because John, would you want to be born in Rwanda anytime in the last 2,000 years? That looks horrific. I mean,
it's rough.
People kill you just for being born in the wrong tent. I mean, that's nuts. So I mean, we don't have it that bad. So get out there and do something with it. And I like that Nine Line has done that. It appears that way. It's obvious. Now, I'm glad that you're sharing with us what's going on with their foundations, if you will, or their foundational erection. But now that we understand a little bit about where they came from, are you able to share with us where you're going? Because as I put on the screen earlier, and people should go to ninelineapparel.com and check it out. But the reality is, we're not just talking about T-shirts here. We're talking about all kinds of merchandise across a vast array of the internet. I mean, as you said, you can go into a local shop or go to a local mall, although I would never actually walk in a mall. There are people listening who might, and you can find this stuff. So let us know where you're headed. I mean, are you able to do that, or is that inappropriate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, this is so this year is going to be big for us. So, being a 13-year-old company, we're obviously continually in a growth phase, right? We're constantly getting better at our processes, finding new partnerships with different brands. We've got some phenomenal like concealed carry bags now and backpacks and all kinds of different accessories that our customers look for. And so, from a product offering standpoint, you're going to see a lot more limited time offerings. We've got some shorts that are about to land that are phenomenal. So, keep a lookout on the website for those. We're doing a big flash sale right now. But where all that's leading to is we're making a big push into a lot of wholesalers this year. So, walking into your local mall and finding, Nine Line Apparel is going to be even bigger coming in this year. We've got several large box partners that share a lot of our values. It's not going to be the big blue symbols or the big red targets, but it's going to be a lot of these ranch and home stores, a lot of the hardware stores that are out there, like Ace Hardware has embraced us fully. And that's thousands and thousands of stores all over the United States. And those are salt of the earth people who get it. They understand the message. A lot of these stores have never even sold apparel before, right? So that's one of the cool things too that we're able to do is, we're finding value in places that other brands wouldn't even consider, because we don't just look at our partnerships based on their potential to sell.
Sure.
We look at our partnerships based on the demographics of the ownership and the people that they serve.
Yep.
And we can teach you how to sell apparel. We can get you fixtures, and we do a lot of things for the mid-tier customers that allow them to be competitive as well. Like we have these like beautiful 4-way displays that we'll actually send these stores and help them display their merchandise. We have individual account owners or account managers that these owners can talk to on the phone and get advice from.
Great.
So in 2026 we're going to be adding probably close to 2,000 more doors, just new stores that are popping up that are not Nine Line stores. But we're also building our own stores.
Wow.
We just opened opened a brand new store in Hilton Head Island. That has been so warmly embraced. It's wild. I don't even know if we've done our grand opening yet, and it's already one of the top stores in our company. So we're in Florida and Delray Beach and Daytona, down in Key West. We opened a store in Pigeon Forge last year that's done phenomenally well. We've got our store in Charleston, and then our flagship store here at Fort Argyle, and then one on River Street as well in Savannah, obviously. But on the custom side too, there's a few brands that we're working with that can't really speak to, but we're helping them go to retail, and developing partnerships that are going to be super meaningful for us. So we're going to grow tremendously this year. But what that means for our customer base is they're going to see more of their values on more shirts, more human beings walking around with the flag sleeve that means something. And that's important to us. On the foundation side, we're building these aquaponics centers in the neighborhoods where they're going to be able to learn about agriculture and food production, and learn essentially the skills necessary to build a small business, right? And because whatever the product or SKU is, if you're building a business, it's essentially the same skill sets. It's learning how to network with others, learning how to problem solve in a moment, learning how to come up with creative solutions, learning how to hear your customer and understand what they're looking for, and to be able to develop and create something that's meaningful and valuable to them.
Sure.
Those type of skill sets. So we've got a big foundation weekend coming up in September. That's our big fundraising weekend for the Nine Line Foundation.
Okay.
Some amazing partners always come in and contribute, and we get donations of some incredible firearms to auction off. We have a golf tournament, we have a gala, we have a range day, we have a 5K, 10K. So it's a very full weekend. But honest to goodness, it's the weekend I look the most forward to, because it's the one weekend where we get together with all our friends and celebrate and raise a bunch of money and get some really good deals on some guns.
I have often said that it's not going to be uncommon in the future, and you just outlined exactly what I assumed could happen. Is anywhere that you go buy a Carhartt set of bibs or anything Carhartt, there should be Nine Line Apparel on the rack right beside it. And that's kind of outlining a little bit of what you're talking about. I think that's fantastic.
Say it louder for the ones in the back, Michael.
All right. Well,
yes, sir.
I have to set them there. So anyway, sometimes you find yourself saying, okay, those are my people. Well,
that's right.
That's true. But you have, I'm telling you, you have more people out there than what you know, based on how this thing can and has spread. And I'm really tickled for your success. I truly am. I think that's great.
Yeah,
There's one thing that I want you to touch on, though. I'm
Sure.
telling you, there's a lot of people out there right now that don't understand 9 line and the helicopter. Okay. They're like, why
Yeah.
not 8 line? Why not 10 lines? Tell us what that is so that everybody understands.
Yeah. All right. So this guy right here, the 9 line, you notice it's a helicopter with a line coming down, right? So there are 9 steps to go from that helicopter to rescuing that soldier on the battlefield. That's what the 9 line is. When a soldier's in trouble, they need to get out of there, they put in a 9 line call. Okay. Then the night stalkers and the guys from the down here at Hunter, they hop on, they get out there and they rescue those soldiers on the battlefield. And that ethos, that mindset of being there for my neighbor, right? Being there for those veterans who gave up the best years of their lives to put on a uniform to defend our freedoms. Those things are so valuable and so important. And honestly, it's what gives us joy, right? When my neighbor needs something, right? Whether it's a cup of sugar or, they're sick and they can't mow their lawn and I go over there and mow it. For me personally, and I think a lot of people who listen to this would agree, there are a few things that bring me more joy, right? Being with my family, kissing my wife up there, right? But being able to serve your neighbor in a meaningful way without, expecting something in return, that's powerful. And it really does give you purpose and meaning in your life. And I think that's one thing as Americans, we've been good at, but it's one thing that's also threatened, right? The individual mindset of, not looking out for your neighbor, not being there for people who are in need. Yeah. Somebody else will take care of that. I got to take care of my own.
Yeah.
People miss out on that joy. They miss out on that fulfillment in life. And, even if it's, working at a job you hate, there's still coworkers there that maybe they just need a friend. Maybe they need somebody to lean on for a second. Maybe they need somebody that they can just be real with and be themselves and be true and be honest. It could be something as simple as acknowledging somebody and seeing them where they are, right? People want to be known, right? They want to be heard. They want to be seen. And especially for our soldiers who go through some of the most traumatic things a human being can endure, when they come home, life is so different. And it's so hard for them to know who to talk to, who could even understand what they've been through, who can even be patient enough or humble enough or kind enough to not define them by mistakes they may have made or, lack of understanding of where they fit in. Right. So being able to be a part of a company that expresses that and values that, my hope is through what we do at 9 Line, that message, it illuminates people throughout the United States.
It should.
To doing just something as simple as being there for your neighbor. Be that rescue when people need it, right?
You're speaking my language, man. This is we have been discussing things like that on Warrior Wednesday for years. We've been discussing this when our volunteers are out at gun shows or events or whatever else. Second Amendment Day at the Capitol, our PAC supper, you name it. These things are being discussed because you're right. Being there may be enough. That may be all that is required, but that's the start. I mean, it's like we've watched Seinfeld for too long. Not that it isn't a funny show, but that some level of soft nihilism is an acceptable worldview. It is not. It's okay to watch it, but don't adopt that ideology. That's silly. So, and we know what we need to do, John. Our instincts are usually still there, and we okay. So we see the neighbor next door. We know that they're getting on in years and their wood pile's blown over. Well, don't keep walking by. Go over there and restack it. You don't even have to knock on the door and say you're welcome. Just do it and then go about your business or whatever else. So we recognize that things need to be done. We know that guy sits out on his porch down the street and nobody waves. Nobody walks by, whatever else. And he just sits there and rocks. Right. What's the harm of going up and sitting on the step? What's the harm in that? So sometimes, dude, if we were meant to be alone, Adam would still be walking around probably. That's not how it went. That is not the story. No. So I don't think we're created to be alone, and being there and helping somebody else out, doing what you probably need to do is a good way. And for the people listening out there that are scared, are like, oh, that isn't me. Well, yeah, it is. You just haven't done it yet. It's okay. And you might make a mistake or two, but get out there and do it. And so I like the idea that Nine Line is what you call to get a rescue. And that is emblazoned as far as your name, your ethic on the product that you sell. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, John. What else do we need to know?
Oh man, so much, Michael. I could just talk for hours and hours on all this, man.
Well, we got hours and hours.
Yeah.
I mean, well, at some point, your boss is going to be like, he's been in there recording that podcast for 4 hours. You reckon he's still awake? I mean, I don't know, but we can have you come back. We can arrange more questions, whatever else. But I'm enjoying the conversation, so I want
man.
to know,
I can speak to this too. Like, I think, just continue on the point that we were talking about, right? The difference between the nihilistic worldview and a community worldview, right? Like, nothing matters except for what's in my bubble. It's really a self-defeating mindset, right? And I think, for me personally, it comes from the fact that I know that my debt to an uncreated God was paid without any effort of my own, right? I've been offered the greatest service ever, that I'm gonna get to be joined with my creator at some point. And because of that, when I look at human beings, I don't just see them as competition. I see people as created in the image of God. And they're real humans. And like the other day, my dad is a good example of this, right? So my dad is getting on in years, and he cuts his grass and all that, but sometimes around that fence line, it's just covered up. Now, if I go down there and I'm like, hey, Dad, you want me to weed eat? He's going to be like, no, I got it. So I have to sneak down there and weed eat around his fence. And I don't even know if he knows who's doing it, right? Thankfully, my parents, I moved them into my neighborhood a few years back, and that was one of the best decisions ever. But getting to be close to my parents has been really good. But I think, young people, especially in today's world, need the wisdom of their elders. They need to sit with someone who, is in their 60s, 70s, 80s and hear about their life experiences. Ask them those questions, because, neither of I have no grandparents still alive. And, I just turned 40 this year. And now, knowing what I know at 40 years old, God, there's so many questions I could have asked them along the way, right? That I regret not spending that time with them. And it could just be something as simple as, like you said, going up on that porch and sitting with somebody for a little bit and hearing their stories. Sharing each other's stories not only provides us a wealth of knowledge, but there's so much joy in it too. There's a lot of peace in that. It's being able to find somebody and meet them where they are, and just be a friend for a minute. And I think that's so much at risk in our communities now, because of the individualistic mindset that a lot of people grow up with these days, right? And there's people who struggle, right? They struggle on their own. They're struggling to make ends meet. They, prices are higher than they've ever been. As far as like labor specialties and things like that have dropped tremendously. People want to, be social media creators. They want to do marketing. They want to do these things. And those are phenomenal avenues to take. But not everybody's skilled and gifted in that way. Right. So it's, there's a lot of people who struggle to make things happen that, I feel like if they took a moment and looked outside of themselves into their community, asked for help or offered help, they'd see a big change, right? And but you got to have people who are willing to help and people who are willing to listen to. And I think, as human beings, we owe that to our communities and our neighbors to be able to be there for them. So,
the one thing that you haven't said that's been on my heart a lot in the last short while, you're talking about the willingness and the desire, the guts, the gumption, whatever else, to get up and go do something with others as the beneficiary. You know what I mean? But what you haven't said, and what I haven't done myself very much, because there are people out there listening to the podcast like, those two guys have it figured out. No, we don't.
Nope, not even a little bit.
We're willing to try. We're willing to humiliate ourselves a little bit
Yeah.
going out and do this stuff. But here's an important thing, John. You and I both have to be willing to accept those things from others, because the fact of the matter is, I need help from time to time. John, I know
Absolutely.
from talking with you that you need help from time to time. So we have to be willing to accept it from others. And sometimes, I've got this friend who's not very good at understanding the role of let's call it a church in a corporate sense. He's like, well, I don't need to go to church and do all this stuff. I'm like, well, I think that you probably should. And here's why. He's like, why? And I said, listen, that's the place that I go multiple days a week for multiple things. But I go to Sunday service, frankly, to be recharged. I go into this communal place. I mean, it's not the frat house for the cool kids. This is the hospital for sinners, right? So I go in there to recharge my batteries so that I can go back out and do that stuff out in the world.
Yep.
And it will be very, very hard to continue doing that without being able to listen and share and joy and suffer and commiserate with people similar to me that have a similar or same ideology. So, John, we got to be willing to accept that help too if we want to go give it, because it is a two-way street. And I think we lose sight of that. I'll be honest with you. I really think we do.
Absolutely. It's easy to. It's the temptation is the opposite way, right? It's I don't want to be seen as weak at any point in time, right? And if I ask for help from somebody, right, that's weakness. No, it's not. It's humility. And it's actually it actually takes a lot more courage and strength than sitting isolated and dwelling, right? But you're exactly right. Like, everybody needs a recharge. Whether it's sitting around the kitchen table with a few friends that you hadn't seen in a long time, reminding yourself of who you are and in whose image you were created. It's pretty important. It's pretty important work.
Well, you've got to be grounded in what you do and have an understanding for that, because the central theme of Warrior Wednesday at Iowa Firearms Coalition is Second Amendment and Second Amendment related. So there are lots of times where I have well-meaning friends that obviously don't understand or may not understand give me criticism. Well, why is it that you want to do gun stuff or whatever else? I'm like, yeah, I do gun stuff for a living. It's the medium that I work in professionally. And I'm really, really good at it and I enjoy it. But the Second Amendment is about saying, I have this innate, unalienable right that is endowed by a creator and protected and enshrined in the Second Amendment that you don't get to take from me. So first of all, let's examine who might want to take that from you and what their motivations are or what their shortfalls or shortcomings are. And then let's see, oh, by the way, the responsibility it places on you to utilize it well. That's really saying this is a high character endeavor. This is a high responsibility endeavor, and this is a high penalty that you're going to pay when you screw this up. And I enjoy being held to a higher standard. I think that we all ultimately do. And the Second Amendment embodies that. And so I really have a tremendous respect for the people that came up with it and said, we think that this is virtuous, and it's so virtuous, we want to enshrine it as the second edition, to this thing that we've created that we will be very hard to hold on to. So watch your step, and
that's right.
And sometimes people get that, sometimes they don't, but the Second Amendment embodies that. And if you use those tenets that you can draw from the Second Amendment and put it in a lot of places, you can build a Nine Line Apparel. You can build a following. You can use those types of foundational pillars to do a lot. And
that's right.
Beyond. And so I'm really excited to have these kinds of conversations with you, with the guests, with Nine Line as a focus, because it embodies a lot of things that are very near and dear to me and the people that are out here listening.
Yeah, well, and that's how you get to build something successful, right? I mean, it's if you want to build an apparel company and you just want to sell cool images on shirts in order to make a lot of money, you're going to have a big uphill climb. Mm-hmm. If you have something that you're passionate about, that you believe in, and a fight that you're fighting, and a mission that you are on, and that apparel is an expression of that, it's just another tool of engagement for people to join your team and say, hey, I'm with you on this. It goes a lot quicker, right? That's how Nine Line was able to get built the way it was, because there's a lot of people in the United States who go, you know what, I do appreciate these veterans and what they've done, and here's a company that actually supports them unashamedly, right? They're, we're relentlessly patriotic, and now we're saying we're answering the call, right? It's kind of one and the same, right? You answer the call when you're relentlessly patriotic, it's part of that. And when you realize that, no matter how many, guns you take away from people or how many weapons you limit people to, there's always going to be individuals who will take advantage of those who are weaker and defenseless. You realize how important it is to be a defender, whether that's, standing up for, individuals in home care, right? Their rights to be taken care of, right? Or soldiers coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, or if it's just simply saying, I want to be able to have my firearm on me when I go to the grocery store in case I need to defend defenseless people. Those are important things that support our way of life. It's the foundation that our country is built on. And if we don't talk about it, and if we don't build companies around it, and if we don't strive to succeed in these spaces and to defend things, we'll get bills passed on us. Like, I think there's one right now where they're trying to limit pistols to, you have to be 24 or 25 to buy a pistol. There's these small, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Because if you allow the federal government to define or classify a demographic of adults as not able to have this certain thing, what stops them from defining that demographic differently later down the road? Right. So, people see like, Gun Owners of America and NRA and all these different organizations, and like what you do at Iowa Firearms Coalition, and, all these different organizations that talk so much about defending the Second Amendment, and they think, why do you need all of these? Well, because there are great and powerful forces with a lot of money who are fighting every single day to just take an inch. And you can't give it. You cannot give them 1 inch. Our Constitution of the United States is in a place for a reason. It's because the founders of our country wanted us to be successful. They wanted us to be a prosperous nation. They wanted us to be a beacon of light for the rest of the world, to set a standard for individual personal responsibility and freedom. And without those things, all that goes away so quickly. I mean, you see it in Europe, you see it in Australia, you see it in Asia. A defenseless population is one that can be totally ruled. And the people of Iran right now, right? Look at the population of Iran. They're celebrating just the potential of having more freedoms. It hasn't even happened for them. They're just celebrating the idea of no longer being under a totalitarian regime.
We don't have any idea what tyranny is. Those people have a really solid understanding of tyranny, because they do it. That's undeniable. It can't be argued. I mean, when we talk about the Second Amendment realm and the battles that you're describing, there's a duality with these battles. I mean, one of them is very simple. Hey, if you do these bans, if you do this thing, if you take liberty, whatever else, we're going to push back because we don't agree and we don't want that to happen. And so there's a skirmish and there are things thrown back and forth, whatever else. That's part of the battle. But the other part of the battle is, which doesn't get done as often and is rarely nearly as successful, unfortunately, is to sit down and examine this and say, when they remove our ability to own, or they put in place something that bans something or take something from us, they're not actually, John, stealing in a traditional way. Like, let's say that you're on camera and you're like, hey, I've got this $100 bill, and I reach over and I take it. Well, you had $100 and I took it from you. Now I have $100. That isn't ever happening in the Second Amendment realm, ever. What's happening is is I'm reaching across and I'm taking something from you that not because I want to have it, I just don't want you to have it.
That's right.
And it's a completely different mindset. I wish more and more people could understand that. And so then you have to go to your opponent. I don't know if enemy is the right word or not, but in sometimes yes. And you say, well, why is it that you want this removed from me? What is it about me, or what is it about you that motivates you to take from me something that you don't want? You just don't want me to have it. And they're like, what? Well, that's exactly what you're doing, because then you leapfrog to the next points in the argument. And every now and then you can actually get them to stop and think. Now, I've had very little success converting somebody, at least not in front of me, but I have had a lot of success in at least making them pause and think, this is a little dastardly, because at the end of the day, John, well, I probably wouldn't take it that far on a first conversation with somebody. That's utter and total cruelty. When you're willing to strip somebody of something that they have, not because you want it, because you're just, a thief or greedy. It's just you absolutely can't handle that they have it, so you take it from them.
That's a good analogy. It'd be like you taking that $100 and setting it on fire.
Yeah. I don't want it, but I sure don't want you to have it. That's right. That's rough. We can't do that. But anyway, I think you're right. I think that we could go down this road further and further. But I want everybody to know, okay, Nine Line Apparel. So it's ninelineapparel.com. We've got an idea of who you are as a person. Thank you for that and sharing. I love it when we can personalize these things, and you shared a little bit about your dad and your family. And we know a little bit about the company. There's more to learn. For those of you out there listening, IFC has on their site, iowafc.org, a list of trusted partners where you can go. And if you're an IFC member, there are discounts and program codes and all kinds of things that you can use as a perk and a benefit of membership. Now, our membership dues range from $35 all the way up to all kinds of money that you can donate and share and invest in the organization. Thank you for that. But I want you to understand that there's so much value in the trusted partners that we already have that your membership fees will be wiped out almost immediately if you buy anything from any of those people. So who knows? Maybe this is a little heavy and I'm putting you on the spot, but maybe Nine Line might be listed among the trusted partners at some point in the future. If they're not, that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying it because we're talking about it. But the truth of the matter is there's a lot of good going on there. So we encourage you guys, just like we're encouraging you to buy from Nine Line, to spend money and time and share passion with the people that reciprocate that back, because you got a lot of buying choices. We want to see you use that money and that sway and that influence with people that care about you and care about what you care about. And you really shouldn't be doing it any other way. That's speaking with your wallet and you're helping friends. So consider Nine Line, go to their site, check it out. You're going to shop for hours. When you get on there, there's no shortage of things to check out. And we're not talking about 6 T-shirts here to choose from, and hopefully they'll have your size. There's a cajillion items to go through. So that's right. What have I skipped? What am I missing, John?
Well, I'll say this, shameless plug. We are running our biggest sale we've ever ran right now through the 4th of July. Obviously, the 4th of July is a big holiday at Nine Line Apparel. We celebrate it well. And we definitely love what that holiday is all about. So right now literally is the best time to buy a shirt from Nine Line Apparel. So go to the website now. We're running it through the 4th of July. And it's the deepest discounts we've ever had on our website to make it available for individuals to try out a Nine Line shirt if they haven't before, or if you haven't bought one in a little while. We want to help you out a little bit. So we've got some phenomenal options. I think we're running a 50% off sale right now. There it is, the summer blowout sale, 50% off select products. So, and there's a lot of cool new products that we're always launching. One of the interesting things about our company is our communication style. We get together with all these departments every week on a regular basis and come up with ideas, and we communicate early and often with one another, and we listen really well. decisions aren't made in a vacuum here, and we listen to our customers also. So, if you see an ad online, give that feedback, engage with us. We're here to communicate and offer you the stuff that you want to see. So that's some of the stuff right there. That's 50% off right now. Some phenomenal hoodies. We have tri-blend t-shirts that are moisture wicking and they're antimicrobial, which is what I love about a shirt, because if I've been active all day, I want to come home and be able to kiss my wife and not offend her.
No guarantees that it will do that, but it's
no guarantees, but it's a good start. It'll get you a lot closer to the goal, that's for sure. Yeah. So I hope everybody gets the opportunity to enjoy some of our items on our website, and I know you certainly have, Michael, and I appreciate it, brother. It's been fun. I always like the opportunity to connect with somebody like yourself, who's a like-minded individual, proud American, amazing patriot. Appreciate you, brother.
Very kind. I don't know if I check all those boxes the way that I had ought to, but I do enjoy doing it. and just exploring one another in a really genuine and honest fashion is something that the people that watch this, I think, truly enjoy. I run into people from time to time that said, "Oh, I love this, I love that." Well,
yep.
We're just having honest conversations, no more, no less, and so we'll keep doing it. Right. And IFC keeps doing what they do because of volunteers and membership and donations, and so we'll keep the ball bouncing as long as you guys out there keep engaging. I mean, what more can you ask for?
And I'll say this too: if for all those FFL dealerships and stores listening right now in Iowa, if you want to sell some Nine Line Apparel, email me at sales@ninelineapparel.com. We'll get you set up and can get some of our shirts in your store and bring some of our customers to you.
Fantastic. Very, very nice. Very nice thought. I never even considered that. We should be saying things like that more often. John Bohannon from Nine Line Apparel. That's ninelineapparel.com. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your volunteerism and your work. And if you could, I don't know if you do all users' emails or you something you could put in the break room, whatever else. Would you let the folks at Nine Line and the folks that you work among, would you let those guys know that IFC and our people appreciate you guys? We really do. So let them know that it matters. I mean, I see the photograph on your site. I sense the communal way that the company works, but it's important that those people get to hear that from time to time. So from everybody here at IFC, thank you, the folks at Nine Line, for your work and what you do. We truly appreciate it. That's not a nonsense line. We value you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Have a good one all.
Pleasure. Yep.